This is the Your Money Hour show. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Dakota Grady, your host. So I have a special guest today, and really special guest in my heart. So before we get started, though, if you need help with personal finances, check out my website at dakotagrady.com. Maybe you've been affected by the pandemic and you need help with budgeting, getting out of debt, and saving to get back to where you were. My website is dakotagrady.com. And if you need help with your taxes or accounting for your business, contact me today at theatdoc.com. That's theatdoc.com. So I'm really excited today because I have Doug Garrett of Watkins, Garrett in the Wood on the Zoom today. And I really respect them. So I wanted to have him on the show. So without further ado, Doug, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Dakota. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, sir. So I want to reach out to you because growing up in Fieldcrest Village back in the day, you probably know where Fieldcrest was or is.
Yeah, I got many friends and folks that I consider family that live there. I spent a lot of time in that area because I've worked around there.
Yeah. So growing up, I knew 3 Black business owners. It was Big Jim on Haney Street. I don't know if you remember him.
I remember Mr. Big Jim.
It was Holland Hill, the dentist.
Right on. Yeah.
And Watkins, Garrett in the Woods.
Yeah.
And
that was my dad. And then my dad, then me. Yeah.
And that was it. It's like everybody else were either employees. But those are the only 3 Black businesses that I knew. So I'm honored to have you on the show because you all have been in the business for years. Talk about how your dad got into the business and how you transitioned, please.
Okay. Well, the business was started in 1952. It was Mr. Ollie Watkins, Mr. Shepard, and Mr. Hamp Shepard, and Mr. Arnold, Mr. Moses Arnold. And those gentlemen started the business as Mr. Watkins had the original vision for, and they stayed in the business until 1954, at which time Mr. Arnold and Mr. Shepard wanted to retire from the business, and they got my father involved. Somewhat coincidentally, because Mrs. Arnold and my father worked together. My father, when he came here to Greenville, he was the first Black county farm agent in this area. So he worked for the Clemson Extension Service. And he retired out of Clemson Extension Service while still running the funeral home. But so Ms. Arnold, who was his right hand in the Extension Service, they had a women's component of it, and she worked in it. And she and my dad came like brothers and sisters, and she eventually told him she wanted him to, take over her portion of the business. On in years, Mr. Watkins passed away, and Mr. Woods as well, and we took over it, but we still keep the name in honor of both Mr. Woods and Mr. Watkins. So it was just my father and myself. And my sister works here. My mother, she's a licensed funeral director. And I guess I could say she's the boss of all bosses. So even though I'm the boss, I have another boss. Yeah.
Great. So
my father passed away in 2018. Yeah.
Awesome. So how was it for you? Did your dad teach you the business, or how'd you get involved in it?
Yeah, he taught me the business, but my pops was more of a hands-on type of person. So he would bring me to the funeral home, and the folks that worked in the funeral home, around the funeral home, would have me working with different ones, doing different things. I learned from the grave digging to I'm a licensed embalmer and funeral director, so I embalm and prepare the remains and I funeral direct and do the business management side. So I've had to learn and had to get all my hats together over the years.
So talk about that. Like, what have been some of the successes that you all had? I mean, it's like Watkins, Garrett, and Woods, and then it's everybody else.
Well, I'm not going to say that because Greenville has been fortunately blessed with some very good quality other of my colleagues. I say Mr. Beasley and Ken Beasley. They're good friends of ours, and they do a magnificent work in the community. Webb Settles is not completely in business, but over the years they have done well. And you have the Browns who have Upstate Funeral Home. So we have several Black entrepreneur Sullivan brothers over in Greer. You have several Black entrepreneurs in this area who service this community and try to do everything they can for the community. And we are colleagues, and I'm honored to be, associated with all of those different firms as well.
So talk about that. Like, there's enough for everybody to win, right? You mentioned colleagues, so you're not competitors. You're working together, right?
Yeah. The thing of it is if one of us fails, all of us fail, especially in Black business, because it's not, there's not that many of us. So we can't have the attitude that we want to try to, defeat the other person or whatever. Whatever we can do to uplift each other is what we need to be about.
That's good stuff right there. So what have been some of the challenges over the years, I mean, for you and your company?
As always in a Black business, financial challenges as far as financing and whatnot, access to finance and whatnot. But, we've been able to overcome those things over the years because we've had, good people helping us at different times. But the same access that my how can I say that? My Caucasian colleagues may have is not necessarily always accessible to us. I'm saying that it's changed a lot, but there's still some things that are, yeah.
So
but we work beyond that, and and God has given us favor over a long period of time.
all right. So yeah, I actually had a client in Tennessee that had challenges with getting financing too, but she had it's a woman owned business, so her the women have more challenges that I guess the men do, even though it's still challenging. But yeah, so I've heard that as well.
I would think it's just that it's not so much the resource to some degree as our knowledge of being able to get to the resources and how to set those resources up to keep propagating more resources. In our community, our families rely a lot on insurance to be the means as to which they take care of their funeral services and whatnot. And I know most of my colleagues that are outside of my skin color don't deal with insurance assignments and whatnot because they tell the families that you have to basically pay for your services. And in our instance, we will take an insurance assignment and wait on the insurance and try to work with the family to secure things such as a cemetery and everything in the funeral bill. But it just depends. I want to promote to folks that we just need to be more aware of, and younger people especially, that they need to make provisions so that they're not making a burden for their, you know, family members, because you hear a lot of people say, you know, well, I don't care what anybody does with me. If I die, you put me on the side of the road or this, that. And if something happens, you know, that's somebody's loved one. That's not what no one's family members ever going to think. You know, they want to try to do what they can for their loved one, and it's a, you know, sad situation for people when they, you know, have to struggle to try to see about making ends to carry out someone's final services. And, you know, they got bills beyond that. You know, they got to, you know, after that service, they're going to have to, you know, keep the lights going, keep, you know, going to the grocery store, keep, you know, car notes and that kind of thing. So as we deal with folks, we try to, you know, take those economic variables to into consideration to try to guide people in a way that, you know, they are able to um, be able to memorialize their loved one in a way that gives them closure and also befits that person. But at the same time, we want to not let them get in a situation that's going to keep them financially burdened for, you know, some time to come.
Mm-hmm.
But
So how important is life insurance in this particular
life
situation?
insurance is very important. Um, Pre-need planning is very important. Where see, in our community, we oftentimes buy life insurance just for the sake of having something to carry out your final expenses.
Correct.
In other communities, they buy life insurance in 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 a sense to be able to do that, but also to be able to leave some type of legacy for their families to be able to move forward.
Right.
You know, and that's how we need to, you know, acclimate ourselves to think. You
Yes.
know, um, we need to be able to access our monies and resources in our communities more than just one generation out.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's
we
true.
got to
True.
plan for our children and our grandchildren, and it's not something you know you have to plan in a way that it's something you're not going to see come to fruition. You know, but still plan.
That's right. And
Yeah,
also about having a will, power of attorney,
having wills, power of attorney,
then
all of those things are extremely important.
living well. Exactly. So,
Well, yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
and I mean, yeah, some people. I know people who have life insurance, but they only have enough, I guess, to cover them, I guess, for like a burial. Like you said, they don't have the legacy part figured out yet. They're only covered, all right. Well, I got my headstone and I got my burial, but beyond that, there's nothing left over after all the funeral expenses are paid.
Yeah, yeah. But even if you don't have the resources to do that, and you may have a home or something like that, that will is extremely important to keep families from falling out over things that you know, the main thing when someone passes that you want to remain family, and a lack of planning is a surefire way to destroy your family in a sense, because you see people, you know, with different motives at different times. You know, we would want to say everybody would think in the right way, and you see a lot of families that do think in that loving, kind way about each other, and all they can see is, you know, what we can do for each other. But you have sometimes you have folks that unfortunately want to see what they're gonna get and what kind of advantage they're gonna be able to take, and so you have to plan for that too. You
Mm.
know.
Oh, yeah. So I think we got about like a minute in the segment left. I want to bring you back for the second segment. Is that fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
Awesome.
Hey,
Awesome. So, yeah. All right. So we got like a minute. Real quick. Hmm. Have you seen where people have like the money aspect of it has caused them to really, really see the family just destroyed because someone wants some money. We come out with an answer in a few. But
Okay.
so this is the Your Money Hour show. I'm with Doug Garrett of Watkins, Garrett and Woods, and we're talking about basically business. And I want to talk about when we come back, how do you build a culture in the funeral home business? Because I'm curious. So this is the Your Money Hour show. I am Dakota Grady, and check out my website at dakotagrady.com and also at theatdoc.com for accounting and taxes. This is the Your Money Hour show, and we'll be right back.